Well, beautiful. Hey, we got another episode of Tac'd. I'm here with my buddy Andrew Baghai, man of many professions, but today we're just kind of in here to bullshit, talk about what's going on, maybe talking about some life-saving maneuvers. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was how's the house coming along? Last I saw it was on fire.
Yeah, man. Torched her. Just a flat piece of dirt right now. But.
So what was the story on that?
Well, I'm building a house, so, you know, costs come up, and I realized that, damn, I gotta pay a lot of money just to destroy this little 800 square foot, like, 100-plus-year-old cottage that's on the property, and so it's like, man, how much of this can I cut costs on? So, you know, I took the carpets out myself and had somebody do the roof, and then somebody, my contractor was like, hey, you know, you can like donate the property to the fire department, and they're like, and they'll burn it and use it for all sorts of training and stuff like that. And you know, other than like permitting and stuff like that, because I got to make sure that I don't have any like toxins in the house and stuff like that, and I'm just gonna like burn it.
You're not
in the sky.
disposing
yeah. And honestly,
waste.
I was at least expecting asbestos and stuff like that, but nothing. And so they came in on the day and practiced, like, it was like 4 different fires, like different types of fires in the house. Like they did like a kitchen fire and like a bedroom fire.
Were they putting them out too?
Yeah. And but like they would like go in there.
Cool.
Yeah, they would like go in there and like put them out, but they would just kind of. Then they'd like relight them, and they did like another part of the house, and then they just did like the big.
Eventually torched the whole.
Yeah, the whole thing went up, and but yeah, a lot of the neighborhood was
checking
pretty
that
funny.
out.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because like immediately there was work because you had to put like this like sign up, and like, you know, letting the public know what you plan on torching,
right.
And so immediately I was like on that local Facebook, like a family friends like Browns Point page, and this guy was like just in distress, bro. Like this dude's post was like the most sentimental, like,
oh, he was so worried about
this is a piece of history, and this person's about to come in here and just build this mega skyscraper. I'm like, bro, what? You don't even know. You're just speculating. Like, I'm not building no.
Don't gentrify our Northeast Tacoma.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and he's like, Northeast is like losing its character, and then there was like, at first it started with like 40 something comments, and I was like, oh shit, because I'm not on Facebook, so somebody like let me know about it, and then I used my buddy's phone and I was looking through it, and then like I was actually pretty surprised. Most people were like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Like everybody was like, that's cool, that's great, and then like a couple people were like, if you care so much, you should have bought the property. What did you expect the guy to do? Live in a 100-year-old cottage? Like, right. I'm like, yeah, like, you know, expectations, but it was pretty funny. A majority of the people were on my side, and then he was like, I'm gonna show up there and not let that thing happen. And so
I didn't, himself to the house.
So I was like, all right, bet, like, be there. You know, but
because I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I was not under the impression it was controlled.
Yeah, I didn't let anyone know. Everybody was just in distress.
Yeah. Well, you funny. Know, I'm looking at this, I'm like, fucking A, what did Andrew go and do now? I'm like, come on, dude, you're better than that. Like, you're a safety guy. Like, I know that. You're not catching your house on fire. And then, yeah, as the day progressed, you slowly posted another picture, and I'm like, dog. Like,
yeah, it was pretty funny. I saw my buddy's mom the other day, and she had no idea that it was, like, he didn't know. We hadn't talked about it yet. But we were kicking it. And she was like, oh my God, you've had the worst month. I feel like I'm here for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you burned your house and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that was not an accident.
That's hilarious. This is my fault? Yeah. That sounds about right. I'm the artist, not the tech. Action. Well, cool. So, how's it looking now? You got anything put up? Are you working on anything?
No, my stuff's in like engineering right now, or just got back from engineering. Now it's like time to go to permitting. So, yeah, just kind of going through that process. Hopefully, like I can start sometime in August, which would be the plan. I want to try and get it framed before like the winter. Yeah, it's a lot easier for those guys, and then like a little bit better on the. You know, it's wood getting wet, so trying to seal that up, and it can be a real bitch.
Do you have an idea of what you want, like, the end product to look like?
Yeah, oh yeah, I already picked out, like, I went through like weeks of like looking through plans and like trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and like I finally found something that like I found something and I was trying to go with it and it wouldn't really work on the land, and then like came across this other one and I was like, that could be pretty cool. Like it's not like this modern, like I didn't really want like this modern, like it's just not me,
right?
You know? So like I wanted a nice mix of something, but this thing wasn't too it was like a nice mixture of like coastal, modern kind of beach, which is what that area is kind of about. It's like coastal vibes.
You can see the water from there.
Yeah, I can see the water, but I have this I am like blocked by like this building next to me, but I'm really close.
Yeah,
like it's the place to be.
So because I think we got a couple of buddies who have gone and bought houses, but I think you're the only one I know who's building a house.
Wasn't even my plans, man. Like that just wasn't even in the play. Like
that's just how it came out.
That's just how it came out. Like person, like family friend who's a contractor, like knew where I was looking, found the property, like found out this lady was like getting ready to sell, and then I knew the real estate agent.
Oh, nice.
Which, you know, gonna keep that on the low because, you know, not letting any names out on that one, but like she definitely like helped me out a lot, like with the whole process, making it smooth. So shout out the real estate lady.
Yep, you know who you are.
Yep. But yeah, I got but like he was like, you know what, it's like your first house, like if you like he's basically not making any money off of it. Like,
oh, sick.
It's just like a like super lucky chain of events, man. Like I was just looking for houses. Like I'd lost on a bunch of houses in that area already, and it was just this came along and it was like, boom, man, I can manage this in my budget that I had for the house already. So like, why not do something brand new that's me, that like that's all my choice.
That's crazy.
And I'm gonna do I'm building a 40 by 60 shop behind the house. So like, it's about to be dope.
That is about to be dope.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, cool. Well, fuck. What else is new, bro?
Nuts, man. Just working, staying super busy.
Where do you work at?
Well, I am now one of the owners at Federal Way Discount Guns. So
congratulations,
yeah, man.
Bro.
Yeah, I bought a portion of the company, and so I'm just been doing my thing as you know, Pop starts to fade out much more. You know, he's on the whole come in later, leave early.
He did
kind
his
of schedule.
part.
Oh yeah, he's earned it, man. So like it's kind of like this past month, which I've been at this for a while now, I guess, to be honest, since I was like a little kid is when I started like working there doing that stuff. But you know, he's definitely like kind of passing it on. He's enjoying ready. He's ready to enjoy himself, man. You know, he's got all these toys and places to go and people to see. Like, you know, he's been the gun world, like it's demanding, like as far as especially these days with all the craziness and like so it's a super demanding like industry as far as hours go. And so after 30 years he's ready.
Paid his dues.
He's ready to clock out.
No, that's awesome. So
yeah, that's the website. We are working on a new one, so we don't update this like any of the inventory stuff. It's super outdated, but if you want like general info on the range and like scheduling stuff, any you know events coming up, closures, that stays updated and stuff like that. But we don't have anything with our current inventory and stuff, and it changes really fast, so that's kind of a hard one to pull
on an on-call basis.
Yeah.
So what are some of the new responsibilities you got now that you're an owner?
Oh, I do.
What all does that entail?
I do. That's Evan. That's an OG right there. But I do a lot of the buying. You know, I am managing a lot of like, I guess you could say like billing things and bank reconciliation and
all the super exciting stuff that comes.
Yeah, classes, like, you know, getting other companies rolled in and like kind of changing like the approach a little bit. You know, there's some modernization to happen here, so it's been happening slowly, and you know, just keeping up with the times. Honestly, there's so many aspects of it's not just, you know, target shooting or, you know, competition shooting and stuff like that. There's so many different aspects of like the gun world, so there's a lot to cater to, and you know, it keeps you busy.
What's one of your favorite aspects of the gun world?
I mean, I could say the shooting part, because that's definitely like the fun part. That's the highlight of it, you know, is like getting to shoot as often as you do and training with who you get to train with and taking classes and stuff like that. But I would say just being able to like handle like the gun side of things and like having access to like that much firearms and stuff like that is definitely I'd say one of like the better sides of it.
Pretty
man.
cool.
Yeah, I mean it's another world to just be surrounded by that stuff sometimes, you know, having like a meeting and you just got like all these like kick-ass guns around you while you're talking.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I'm unfamiliar with that feeling.
Yeah.
So your dad's been in the business, you said what, 30 years now?
30 years, yeah.
So I have to imagine it's got to be kind of a Loctite kind of business as far as like getting your foot in the door. If you've been in the business, I'm sure you got connects, but like, you think it would be difficult for a new gun shop to pop up, or is everyone eager to work with new people?
It's definitely a hard like learning. It's a really steep learning curve, the gun shop world, because like I've seen tons pop up and disappear just in like the 14 years of the counter, like working at that shop. And so like I've seen tons of them pop up, new owners sell, and it's honestly just because they like, I would say a lot of that stuff is attributed to like just running the shop poorly, kind of like that old like, oh, we don't do that shit here kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
Paperwork's in that room somewhere in there, you know, like you're working with like a lot of crazy like firearms and stuff like that, and so it's like you are getting audited by like some pretty serious groups of people, and so it's like you gotta have your shit tight, and like what kills you is just like failing audits,
regulations,
bad paperwork, like mistakes and habits, and not getting things checked. Like just in the last couple of years we've just had like this really cool new system about like making sure paperwork is like checked properly, right, and stuff like that. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just like they buy too much, or you know, buy the wrong things. They only buy cool shit. Unfortunately, most gun sales aren't all about like selling all the kick-ass setups, you know, that are posted about everything you see on IG is like not majority of the sales, but a lot of shops will go into this and just buy only dope stuff, like only cool stuff.
They just buy what they think is cool.
Yeah, and you know what? Like not everybody has that budget. Not everybody wants your setup. Not everybody wants that. So like you need to be able to, like the larger masses aren't the, you know, folks out there shooting 10,000 plus rounds a year. Like that's not majority of shooters, right. You know, majority shooters are like shooting like maybe once, twice a month. Like, you know, especially these days with ammo prices and all that craziness. So it's like, yeah, it's good stuff though. It's a lot to keep track of, a lot to be aware of, like ever evolving. I'm on like the phones every morning with like, I'm on the phone like every morning with distributors, like every morning. That are back east, so I gotta be like talking to them on their time.
Oh, yeah.
So like I'm just going back and forth, like, you know, bargaining and buying, and you know, seeing new product, like hearing about new product that if I haven't heard about it already, and like, you know, pestering them about getting orders of people that have been waiting crazy wait times on guns because of like material and raw material shortages and stuff. And so it's just like this constant battle to keep up is what it's about. And a lot of shops, they don't want to run it that way. They just want to like,
they just want to run a gun shop.
They just want to run the gun shop, and like they want the gun job, or they want the work to be what people think the gun shop life is, which is just standing at the counter bullshitting.
Right.
And it's like, nah, man, if you're not keeping busy finding stuff
Someone's
to do, the place falls apart big time. So
with it being an ever evolving thing, because again, by no means do I consider myself like a 2A guy. I got one gun for home protection. I think I want another one, but I don't have any intention on dropping, you know, car payments on a gun, because we got a couple buddies who got $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 guns. And but anyways, what I'm getting at is like with the ever evolving, you know, with the gun laws and stuff, you know, we're all, especially the 2A guys, they're always worried about what they're trying to take away, this and that. Yeah. And it seems like there's always some sort of new news or something to worry about, or this happened, or how often do things actually change on the legal side of things? As far as I know, we have like, you know, a constitutionally protected Second Amendment right. Mm-hmm. But I don't know exactly how extensively that covers, like what they are able to change. Is that kind of stuff happening? Or
it's happening big time. We've actually, like, Washingtonians got pretty comfortable, I would say, throughout the 90s and 2000s. There was obviously some stuff that passed, like, but like we got kind of just complacent with like letting little slices of the pie be taken away, right? And so like at first, like there was a, like Clinton like implemented the 94 assault weapon ban, And these things are just like ill-informed, like it's just like ill-informed attempts to like actually solve maybe the problem they're talking about. But it's just done to like in the light of public safety, right? Now they're looking at it as like a public health crisis, right? And it's all about protecting the public. But the things they're trying to do aren't things that are going to have any effect on that, right? And so it's like
effect on the public safety.
Right. So it's like but people who don't know and are ill-informed hear these things, and you can't help but understand. They're just like, well, fuck yeah, people are dying.
Yeah,
take them away. But it's just, there's another conversation to be had, about what I think the reasons are about that, like why they're happening and stuff like that. But that conversation just gets snuffed by gun control and what the guns look like, and assault rifles. Like Washington has I-1639 went into effect back in July of 2019, and that kind of reconfigured a lot of things and within Washington State, and it just created honestly what I would consider a massive hole in the system, right? Because for handguns and rifles, in the past, prior to I-1639, you could get a same-day background check on the spot, and they approve you, right? And off you go. But instead of us,
and that's at the gun store.
At the gun store.
Yeah.
But when this law passed, handguns and what they consider semi-automatic assault rifles now have to go through a 2-week waiting period. But the thing is, they just created a third part. They just created a third party to run the background check system that we're using. So it's like they're doing it.
And what was their thought process behind, instead of is it a different background check as the 24-hour one?
Well,
is there a reason they need you to wait 2 weeks to get it?
So there's a mental health check involved, right?
Okay.
So which is, I would consider an invasion of your privacy, your HIPAA rights and things like that, which when you're answering these new forms, we have to ask them, are you aware that you're basically giving up your HIPAA rights? You're allowing the police department and stuff to look at your mental health records and figure out, whether you should own a gun or not, which is, where does that line get drawn? It's a very gray area.
That's the mental checkup. It's just some bureaucrat checking your medical records.
Right. And then they also run the NICS background check system, which is the, it's NICS Instant Criminal System or something like that. It's something like that. It stands for. It's gonna bother.
It sounds scary that a mental health check is signing your rights away.
Right.
Yeah, you're giving up your HIPAA rights, and now so the thing is,
some serious individual liberty.
Yeah, and I mean I think so, and the thing is, like, it doesn't stop stuff. It doesn't stop stuff from like happening that we end up stopping, like at the counter, like straw purchases. Like we're strict on that stuff, man. Like,
what's a straw purchase?
So straw purchase is like when somebody comes in and is not eligible to own a gun, and so somebody buys it on their behalf.
Gotcha.
And
playing
so,
hey mister with guns.
Yeah, and and so it's like some people, I guess, use logic and just hide it, and they may get by, but a lot of the people we catch are really bad at it. Like they'll go into the aisle of the holsters and like give each other cash, and the guy that's been looking at the gun the whole time walks out the door, and the guy's like, "I'll buy that." It's like, dude, it's like, you are bad at this, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's a really common one. And then we say something like, "Look, we're just not going to go through with this," or if we think there's something like that going on, we have them sign a form saying that they are that they're allowing us to basically submit that as we had suspicion of it, and that there might be an investigation from it. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, actually I don't know if I'm ready to buy a gun, and all of a sudden they skirt off. But the whole I was talking about though is like this. The thing is, they know that by even doing paperwork, right? And this is like a really hard pill to swallow for like your average person who may not think about it the way I do or see it the way I do. So it's definitely a perspective change, but like they already know by making you fill out a form and write down your personal information and like making you go through a background check system, that they are interfering with you like exercising your Second Amendment right. Like they know that they're doing it. Right?
Yeah, just having any place in the process.
Right, any process at all is actually interference, which is why they only give themselves 2 weeks to complete this task. right? So when you buy a handgun and there's a waiting period and you come back to pick it up, very rarely do background checks. Well, I shouldn't say very rarely, but like there's some certain counties and areas that are more like known for this, but like they don't have time to complete the background check. So the pickup date comes by, that customer comes back in, picks up the gun, and then like 120 days later, they're like, oh yeah, denied. And I'm like, pfft.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, sweet. Well, you know his address. That's where he's at.
Yeah, go.
Good luck. And so it's like there's
this
happens. And like, you know, I don't want to say that it happens like all the time, because even when it happens, there's still a recourse that happens, right? Like they're gonna go and contact that person and get that gun, right? And they have options. The courts will either make them destroy it, sell it to a gun shop and get proof of it, and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
So there is still recourse of it, but the fact that it happens is like, what the fuck?
Right. What's the point of a 2 week? What am I giving you these 2 weeks for if you can't get it done?
Yeah. And so prior to 1639 in Washington, if you had a concealed pistol license, you could get a same-day background check. And that's just total extortion. If you pay the state $65 for a concealed carry permit to like hide a gun on you, then you can get a same-day background check.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
That's extortion, dude. That's
like,
total extortion, right? So like that's why I'm so against like all this stuff, is because there's such an obvious ulterior motive behind all of it, and it's like just taxing people to death on things and like taking people's ability away to defend themselves. And like people like talk about, well, all you need is a pistol, all you need is like really a revolver, and it's like you have such a bad perception of reality.
Have you shot a pistol recently? I just went shooting for my first time in a long time.
Suck,
and
dude.
I was trying to shoot something with a pistol, and I'm like, oh man, I hope nobody's watching.
I felt like a stormtrooper last time.
Right, and most people are, man. And but you're not even like
under
experiencing
pressure,
like such a small fraction of what is really going to be happening. God forbid you ever find yourself in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, now granted, you can get a lot of good practice in on like weapon manipulation through like standing in one spot training, with static training as we call it, right? But like, I don't know about you, but not even like a fist fight am I going to be standing still if I'm in the middle of that type of situation. So like there's going to be movement from both parties probably,
and
then you have all of the psychological and like have all the other crazy effects that that happen when you get that adrenaline dump, which like is, you know, called hyperarousal and stuff like that, and it's all negative basically. Your body, like for the most part, for most people, I would say, you're probably going to have an awful reaction in that time
if you don't know what's going on in your body.
Right.
It's usually taken as a negative.
Part of hyperarousal is like your hands, your blood leaves your hands and feet and like rushes to your internal organs because it thinks it's in like danger.
Yeah.
And well, you lose dexterity as when all that blood leaves your hands. And what do you need to like manipulate a gun like on point is great dexterity,
good working
right
hands.
Yeah. And so when you lose your fine motor skills and go to rely on gross motor skills, if you know, like you have a terrible outcome on shooting. Like if you ever want to like push yourself and just go have fun and like figure out like how bad you are at shooting on the move or shooting from outside of a shooting lane, go sign up and do a USPSA competition, dude. It's like, as long as you're safe with a gun and you know and you're not going to fucking shoot yourself for ND into the ground, negligent discharge or like whatever, and you have that confidence, like go out there and run a USPSA course, because like it is humbling. They will make you do things that you just don't do and train, like when you're training like you know by yourself. Even if you're somebody who like has a great understanding of all that stuff, like it pushes you every time. You all of a sudden you're like, man, I really fucking suck at that.
They're not doing like the John Woo dives and all that, are they?
No. Like, no. And USPSA shooting is more competitive, and they have all these like different rules like in place and stuff like that, which I would say it's kind of like you can't rely on it as like training for that type of stuff, but you can definitely rely on it to like improve shooting on the move and target transitioning and draw speed and like all the stuff that goes into being like a, you know, moderately efficient or somewhat efficient shooter, you know.
So. Right. Okay, interesting. So for the people who maybe for the people who don't think a pistol is all you need, like what do you, if someone's coming in and looking for like a home protection like gun, what would you recommend someone?
Shotguns are great, man. Like they're definitely underrated, you know. They don't have like the wow factor, I guess, that handgun setups or AR-15 setups do have, but like shotguns are like crazily lethal, which is really, again, going back to the law shit, like you don't understand how lethal those things are. Like if they're just as awful to like shoot at something as an AR-15 is. Like, well, they don't get the hype and stuff like that. But
I meant to drop this point, not to cut you off, because I did ask you a question. But while you're talking about that, I was just reading something, and they were like, yeah, it's like 2% of all like gun violence that happens in America is like, it's like less than 2% is with an
AR-15. Yeah, the majority of it happens with handguns. So like if they were really concerned about public safety, like the push would be to go after handguns and like people having them, like, that would be their argument if anyone with logic like knew those numbers and statistics, right? But fucking media's powerful, man. Media is a powerful energy.
That's why we're building our own media.
That's right. That's dope.
We can't trust them. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there is. I don't know how to tiptoe around it, and I honestly don't like the fact we have to tiptoe around the fact that the government is fucking us.
That's what's gotten us here. People, like, and that means we're way farther deeper down that well than we should be if we are scared to say certain things, with like thinking that there's going to be like recourse or repercussion or like, yeah, man, like, people don't understand like Cuba right now. Like if you're like Cuba, man, people are literally straight getting disappeared. Like people are pulling
for protesting
for protesting or like posting things online about what's going on, like cutting people's, like, people don't understand what that's like, man. My family came from like some crazy stuff like that on my dad's side, and like it's crazy to see people, like a certain group of people, just so blindly embrace that type of stuff.
Do you think that had any impact on him going into the gun business?
Well, I mean, he was an Army Ranger for a good chunk, like I think 5 or 6 years.
So then I'm gonna chalk it up to multiple factors.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was always liked them and was even into them before he went into the military. Like bought a couple guns, I guess. So when he got out and had his chance to play with all that stuff, he was like, let's keep this rolling, I guess.
That's interesting. So your dad immigrated here from?
Yeah, well, there was like a revolution in Iran, and so his dad like got him and his sister out, and they went to like a boarding school in England, like no English, didn't know anybody, no parents, nothing, for like 3-4 years, and then 4 years, and then like one day, dad just randomly shows up again and goes, we're going to the United States. So they showed up like I think high school or like freshman year or something like that, and then moved to California. And then my dad was like trying to get into like go to school and be a pilot, and he came out and like didn't have the money to like go to commercial and do like all the schooling required. He just got his like degree in aviation in school, so he was like, fuck, what do I do with this? So he went to the military and wanted to fly, and then like some recruiter poked his head in the room and was like, hey, you want to see what Army Rangers do? My dad was like, that's badass, sign me up. And so my dad still flew though. He did like I think 5 years in Ranger Bat, and then started flying after that, and that's when he like met my mom and stuff like that. Or he met my mom when he was still a Ranger and then started flying. I don't know really the story, but yeah, he had a pretty cool career. Interesting.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast. I forget where this guy was from, but essentially he immigrated here to America, and
the Asian guy.
It might have been, but he just like the first thing he did. I think one of the first people he met like while job searching was an Army recruiter or something, and so he just ended up signing up. Didn't really like or no, you know what he did? They knew they were at war. I think it was Desert Storm or something, and he ended up signing up. But you just don't hear a lot of immigrants signing up for the armed services, so it's kind of cool to hear when.
Yeah, man, he definitely, he experienced a lot of crazy like racism like back then, like, and he tells me all about coming back and being in uniform and those same dudes seeing him and having a whole different wow, this dude went and did something, had a pretty crazy career, like he had a wild career in while he was in the Rangers and stuff like that. And so like he it's just cool to see he really like he came to a place from another place and like just embraced literally the American dream, like got out and started like business from nothing,
right.
Like, I know it was like
I only heard one story throughout like your dad's business journey, but it was how he got it started, and that always stuck with me. He was, I'll let you tell it because you know better than I do.
Oh yeah, he just, you know, back then he had an FFL, and he didn't have to have like a location, so he would just like travel around with guns like in a suitcase to like car dealerships and talk to the salespeople and the GMs, and like they would go do paperwork, and like he was doing it legit. Like he just like he could only afford 4 guns at a time, you know, and he would go to like gun shows on the weekend and do the whole gun show thing, like drive to Oregon and Washington and do all the set up the events and like that. But like he was like, you know, it's cool seeing some of like the OG customers come in because they're like in their 70s and 80s now, a lot of them.
Oh,
like,
and
they've been shopping with my dad for 30 years, and my dad's like, man, you know, that gentleman right there, like literally like was a big time part of why like we were stayed open. Like he just was like, I had good prices, and he was good people, and he loved guns, and you know, whatever was hunting or just collecting, and those are like my favorite customers now, because now that I'm like way more into the collecting side of things, like those guys come in and I just know they have fucking cool collections, man. So I just pick their brain on history, and those dudes are like encyclopedias. Like
that's awesome.
They can do like date,
and I'm sure
date
they
codes.
love talking about it.
Oh yeah,
too.
like they want to just dump it, because
I know.
most of these dudes, like their family just doesn't give a shit. You
It's
know,
so crazy. Like
yeah.
I started listening to some of these military podcasts, and like I got a couple military people in my family, and it's like, holy fuck, like I've never thought to ask one, but like I'm sure they haven't got to tell that story in, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however long it's been. Like
and then some of the history that comes in through the door too is just like, it's awesome. Just like, you know, I had like my dad has like a German Luger, like from World War II, this guy said he literally shot off of a German officer that was on a horse.
Holy shit!
And he was like, yeah, my dad was like, why aren't you giving this to like your son? And he's like, he literally words from his mouth, my son's a piece of shit. I don't think I want to give this to somebody who knows what it's worth. He'll probably just sell it.
All right.
And and so he was, you know, my dad, and like the cool thing is like, well, cool, but like interesting thing is like there's definitely like a sort of like some corrosion on the left side of it, only the left side of it. Mm-hmm. And you know, he said that it was like it sat blood soaked for a while, and it's definitely like corrosion that happens from like blood. So it's like this, it's really crazy to know that gun, you know, what it was used for, like, and then who it was taken off of. Like, I got like a bunch of World War II guns that are like pretty rare iterations of M1 Grands, and you know, all sorts of other stuff like that. Springfield 1903, like the sniper rifle and all that stuff that I've just collected over the years. I think it's cool, and they're just such like a dying breed. You know, a lot of them get chopped and sporterized and turned into hunting rifle over the years, or like, you know, grandpa died and they just sat in the fucking shed.
Right.
You know, so like
decomposed.
Yeah, when good conditions or good ones come in, it's hard to pass them up.
No, that's super cool. Did you yourself ever have thoughts of like join the services or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely, like, that was the plan, man. That was like definitely the plan.
Really?
And then, you know, I didn't do it, to be honest. I finished school. Like, there was a bunch of times I was at the recruiter's office, but I just got convinced to finish school. Like, I was like, you know what, if I can't finish what I'm starting now, you know, maybe who's to say that I can go finish that? And, you know, I really wanted to, and then I got out of school and continued with back at my job at the shop, and like got into such a bigger portion and role in the company. I guess the grass was a little greener on this side,
right?
And, you know, I just decided, you know, not to. But
well,
I have the privilege of working with some pretty, you know, awesome people who've, you know, have served a big chunk of their life and sacrificed a lot. So I get to, you know, I'm really lucky to get to be around a lot of those dudes, because they're, you know, they're definitely someone to look up to, and, you know, they've put in the work, you know. And so it's like, it's cool being around those types of people all the time, man, because they're just a, you know, encyclopedia again, like I said earlier.
Well, and I agree, and I have a huge respect for him that, like, I've only recently learned. I never really had that growing up. Like, I remember Travis used to always talk about wanting to go to the Army and infantry, and like I never once had.
Him.
Yeah, no shit. I need to pull her up here in a second after I finish this. But he would always talk about it, and the only connotation we ever had. So both my grandpas were in Vietnam, and so like the whole idea I had was if you join the army, you die. Like there was no making it out. Now it wasn't really well thought out because both my grandpas are here, but that was the way they talked about it. Like, you're not joining the army to be a bullet sponge. Like,
well, those guys have a whole different perspective on things that we just don't understand. Like, yeah.
How many people died in the Vietnam War? It's like
crazy, man.
60,000 or something.
Last
I think
names,
I just
man.
saw.
Like last names, wiped
from the
out.
planet.
Yeah, I want to say like 70-something thousand people died. 50 or 70.
So while that was really the only interpretation I was ever given, it wasn't until I was older and honestly an adult, like literally 24 or something, when I really kind of got introduced to like some of the Jocko podcasts and stuff like that. And from there, like,
yeah, man,
I'm like, if I didn't have a kid and other responsibilities, have my shit going, like, I could definitely, if I had been,
well, it's not even that, but like
educated,
58,000.
Yeah. If I had been educated properly at a younger age, there could be a different.
But the thing is, like, there's
who
still.
Who knows what the fuck I was doing at 14? I definitely wasn't looking for.
Well, that's just
lifestyle.
like a different. That's just like a different breed, man. Like, that's just a whole different era of people trying to get into, like, just. We don't have that in this country anymore. But I was to caveat on what you were saying about like would have gone in or whatever. Like, I don't know. I went through that for a while. I was just like, man, you don't feel like you amount up to some of these people, or like you didn't do your time or your part. But like, the one thing I've definitely learned from kind of going through that and feeling that way is like, there's a lot to be done locally and around here, and
yes.
like not even just like, if you want to like start small and like just feel like you're serving, like start with your family, start with your circle, man. Start with like your group of killers kind of thing. Like your day ones, the people that you surround yourself with, like better your group.
Lead by example.
Lead by example. Like those things, those podcasts, like some of them are awesome, like they get a little repetitive, but like they're you ever kind of in the dirt, it's a nice thing to listen to because it just kind of pulls you up. But it definitely, you can channel so much of that to like your personal life and like your like you're serving your community and like your family and stuff like that, friends. Like I think that's the energy right now, like the time, like the world we're in. Like seems like we're gearing up to switch gears to something else potentially, but I think it's a good time to like invest in your own, in your own little wolf pack there, because the one thing we've learned, I think I've learned from this past like year of craziness and like stuff like that, is just like having a group you can like rely on, a group of people that are there for you and you're there for them.
No, that's actually ultimately kind of the realization I came to. It was like, not that I felt guilty I didn't serve my country, because almost in every manner, like what entices me about the military isn't necessarily like protecting and serving others. Like it's like I see a lot of what you can get out of it for yourself.
Oh yeah,
while getting to protect and serve others.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I realized like you don't have to wear the uniform to serve your country or your people or your family or your killers. Just like you were saying, like you gotta lead by example, set that here, and just like. Okay, just because you're in the army doesn't mean you're infantry or up front.
So such a small percentage is that, man. Such
everyone,
a small percent.
Like
I want to say it's like, I think the statistics is like 1% of the military is like actual fighting force, or like
and what is it, like
dudes.
1% of the population will ever wear a uniform or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's the 1% of the 1%.
Combat,
but
I was kind of completing what he's looking at, but like it's a small percentage, man. It's like 1%. The rest is like just support in any way, which is like 100%. Like it's not the glorified approach, but without them, dude, I mean, those dudes would be blind. Like we've had 20 years like to really hone in on modern combat like this country has, and so like without all that support, like things definitely fall apart. But
you want to get into a funky space. What's the future of like combat? What is the future of modern warfare
things
look
are getting
like?
crazy,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
And like technology is getting
loitering
crazy.
Munitions and
like I'd say the scariest part is the whole drone thing, dude. Like how common the drone thing is. Like, can you imagine like even just not even like just like your whole life training towards something like that, and just bitch ass little drone just flies up and explodes. Like,
and
like that's scary, because like it's now turning into like that point of technology is like
they have drones that can target which seat in the car you want to hit.
Yeah, see, like that's fucking crazy.
I pulled up a whole thread of how the Kia Sorento is like the drone's favorite target, and it's literally like 9 different Kia Sorentos just ripped apart by drones.
They've done it so many times. They're like, yo, we know based off of all the hits we've done that Kia Sorentos, they just get fucked.
They
up,
are the
dude.
ones.
They're
we
the
love
ones.
them.
They get the deadest.
But yeah, dude, it's scary. Like, once I started diving into the military podcast, I started diving into like, kind of worldwide conflicts and the such, and you very quickly fall down that rabbit hole. It's like you take one step in, and next thing you know, you're 4 feet deep in it.
Yeah, I think the future's crazy, man. I mean, like I think with the amount of proxy wars that are like happening right now, which are just helping avoid that inevitable. Proxy wars being like, that we get other people to fight these wars for us. Like
right.
Syria, for example.
We train and pay these people to...
Yeah, like Syria, for example. Like, we had our group of folks that we liked, and then Russia had their group of folks that they liked. And
missionaries on a large scale.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then like the crazy thing about that is like we both had the common enemy, like ISIS.
Right.
So both people were like, yeah, fuck those guys, but we won't give up power unless this guy gets in, which was like Russia wanting Assad. And then U.S. was like, nah, dude, we can't have that guy anymore. Like, he gotta go. And so Russia wanted that control because of access to the, to the
oil,
water from there.
The water wars are coming.
Yeah, and so I just think it's like crazy that, all of this like buildup is happening through proxy wars and through a small conflict. Like, Africa's crazy right now, man. Africa just does not get talked about.
It is the spot.
Africa's a hot spot, man, and like it's been a hot mess for a while, but U.S. involvement in it is just like it's really high, and and like it's
left
like
the Middle East and came to Africa.
Yeah, and there's Russia, and Russia's in Africa too.
What was it? Literally, like the day we announced something, we started bombing Somalia or something like that, and it was like a rogue bombing too, if I heard right. Like it wasn't sanctioned by the president. It was somebody who was out there on an outpost. And again, I could be wrong. But it sounded like he made the call himself and just dropped bombs in like
just
Somalia
tired of that
or something.
dude pulling up.
Yeah, bro.
He was like, this guy's been pulling up and fucking with me my whole deployment. This guy's going.
Yes. Gears out. Bum, 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 bum. I can't read that. It's too small for me back here. Plus, I've been drinking. But yeah, no, it's not great.
Yeah.
Not great, dude.
Yeah.
It's far enough away from me to not lose sleep over it, but it has definitely gotten to the point where I'm like, do I need to follow? Do I need to know everything that's going on in Yemen and
Congo they do a good job of not talking about it, and the reason for that is because it's like, I think it's just because it's all gearing, like it's just precursor bullshit that will eventually try and lead to like the big three colliding, which is US, Russia, and China. And if that happens, man, like that's I mean, I don't know, we're getting into big stuff right now, but like that's terrible, because that's like, China with their...
What does that look like to you?
Oh, I think, well, I don't know, a lot of people would argue that that's the whole mad thing, mutually shared destruction. I think that's kind of like the approach that most people kind of end that conversation with, is no sum outcome or whatever. Like basically like, if I can't be here, you can't be here, so the whole world can't be here. And I think a lot of people say it's that, but
my mind doesn't go there.
If the three collide, man, like China and Russia and Iran, like all those, like Hezbollah, Palestine, like those are all like pretty that's like the axis like World War II kind of thing. Like if that pops off, and like where it's like Russia actively engaging US, like, and I don't know, that's gonna be pretty bloody, man. But will it get there? Does anyone really want to get there? And I think that's what the thing is like, I don't think either sides really want that to happen, and so they're willing to kind of keep kicking that can like farther down the road, just by like, again, proxy wars and like pushing the boundaries and stuff like that, because that's another thing the U.S. tries to avoid, is like not retaliate back, like Trump's that response he did when he just hellfired that Iranian general, dude. That was such a fucking ballsy move, dude. Like, to just like, you'd be like, you know what,
That'd
on
be
your
like
turf,
smoking Colin Powell or something.
yeah, dude.
Oh.
Just missile striking him too, not even like
just
some
droned
hit.
him out of his Kia Sorento.
Yeah, man, like that, like that's crazy stuff. But like, Russia doesn't respond to that because they're like, and Iran is like, they'll sit there and do their typical bullshit of like, we will end you, and obviously.
So that's why I asked that, because I don't see it as we meet up in a theater and fight. I don't see modern warfare going that way really anymore, especially with the onset of loitering munitions and drones and everything like that. Like, and because here's the weird thing, and we are going deep. We're already there, so we'll just keep diving deeper.
Fuck it. That's what I'm here for. So,
because the reason I say that is, at some points I almost feel like we're already in the war. It's just not a war that's visible, as far as like this country has declared war on this country. Now they're at war. Like, I'd say it's through the cyber. It's through all
I'd
sorts
say the biggest like
of different avenues
threat right now, that maybe not the biggest, but like, well, I would say it's up there. Like, is definitely the like communism. In this country, because it's very, very, very apparent that it's like that's what's driving the chaos right now, and like it's
and that's why I say we might already be in the war.
We
might
are,
already,
man. We lost.
Not might.
I would
it's
say
here. I wouldn't say we lost.
No, man. I'd
but
say,
it's here.
So I would say since like the big, like when we are somewhat aware of like that pollution purposely being done here, is Cold War. Like there's that KGB defector, which if you haven't seen the video of his interview in the 80s talking about Russia as a KGB's plan, the Soviet Union's plan to get that to, they realize they cannot beat the US. Right?
You're not going to land troops
you're not going to do it, and
it's like, not happening that way. That's why I say it's not going to be a theater war.
And so if you look up KGB defector interview, he talks about it, and he talks about how basically, that one right there, Yuri whatever, but he talks about the plan to initiate that or introduce that to the US, and how it's already unfolded and how it's already proven to be successful. It started with the big push in
colleges,
60s and 70s, the anti-war push, which there's some validity to all that. I'm not just completely denouncing that, but that's what they used. And communism blew up, and the point, he talks about it to get it into the education system, mass media, Hollywood, and all it takes is one generation of people to think that communism isn't bad or is an acceptable like practice, and they teach that to their kids. And when it's in the education system like that, these impressionable kids are being just sponged up, or taken advantage of, I'd say. And you're seeing it through critical race theory being pushed now, which I'm sorry, but if that's man,
not this podcast.
Yeah,
it's this podcast where you don't have to apologize.
Well, good, but it's obviously using, when you have the founders of Black Lives Matter coming out and saying they're trained Marxists, I mean, how much more blatant can it get? They talk about their ways of influencing and stuff like that. Like, it's out there. Like, and if you haven't seen that stuff, indoctrination, man. And so like,
so hey, real quick, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you mind just like summing up why you think communism is bad? I think that never really gets brought up. Like,
well,
for people at my age, it's always like, oh, communism's bad. That's all they hear, right?
Right. You're just told.
Well, I mean, if you go look at the
internet that somebody in Cuba is stealing.
So I mean, first I would just start with like reading like the Marxist manifesto, like with reading that first of all. Letters of correspondence to Mark Engels or whatever that one is, that talks about some pretty terrible things, man, about like how they about racist things, killing homosexuals. Communism has killed more people in this world than any other thing, and counting, right? I mean, it really has. and with Mao, Che Guevara, Stalin, Chavez. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of people have perished, dude. And you can't say, and the most common response to that is, it hasn't been actually tried, right? It hasn't been actually tried. And I think, what happens in almost every country time and time again is the people suffer from the practices of Marxism, but the people who are enforcing it and implementing it live like kings.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's the classic rules for thee, but not for me. And that's exactly what's happening among the people who are pushing for this stuff. I mean, all of these people are all constantly getting caught after these whole mask mandates and stay-at-home orders.
Obama wasn't even tripping. He put it on Front Street, bro.
700 people, massive party like that. I mean, you got to be kidding me, dude. Like, if you truly believe that when those people come out and give you that 40-second, 1-minute sob story interview, trashing anybody who disagrees with those closures, but I mean, I think what you can also look at as like the fact that communism is happening, or forms of it, I should say, is like the destruction of our middle class this last year.
Right.
I mean,
major.
The backbone of this country, which are small business owners, right? The backbone of this country, which is the middle class and blue collar workers that are middle class, or just blue collar workers in general. We literally stepped on them. We crushed them this last year. We made it impossible to try and logically conclude that you should go take a business loan out and do anything like that. You made it impossible to try and defend your business amongst like the chaos that happened.
You literally were a criminal if you kept your doors open.
Yeah, criminal. Exactly. And dude, I dealt with that, man. At the shop, we dealt with that. I'll tell you, we didn't, from the beginning of COVID all the way till November, we didn't wear masks.
Good.
We didn't enforce it. We didn't wear them. Nothing, dude. And like, people would come in, they started leaving fucking nasty reviews. People would like pop off on us for not doing it. Like, it was just such like a unstable emotional response every time those people did that. It was crazy, man. But we didn't do it, and what happened? The state started stepping up, and the state started showing up. They came in and took pictures of my employees without telling anybody. Like, they secretly took pictures, like no one noticed.
Because you're a criminal.
And no one noticed, and they're taking pictures and then contacting us saying that they've taken photos, that we're not following rules, and that blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, I have to like restructure how we conduct business, like not allowing like everybody in normally, not having 4 or 5 hour wait times, like getting into like physical confrontations with customers who are just losing their mind, like that whole toilet paper and sanitizer approach, like that, people getting in fights and like that was starting to happen in the shop, man. It's like, we didn't ask for that,
right?
We didn't ask for like that type of stuff. So like, we've already had to make several changes. If we choose not to wear a fucking worthless piece mask, that then that's on us. That shouldn't, like, I shouldn't. I've
been given the information, and I made the decision as an adult to not wear a mask.
They threatened to fine us $10,000, dude, and that's why finally in November we started wearing masks. And we started, enforcing it. You couldn't come in, and it was awful, man.
Dude, it's terrible.
Like, it was terrible to like have that stance, and like,
especially a stance you don't believe in.
Right. Well, it was terrible to have the stance of like all the way until November of we're not going to follow that, especially after like science came out and logic started being applied, and you couldn't apply logic to some of the things that were happening. Like. It was just like, yeah, and then all of a sudden to have to enforce it, because I have to make sure, man, that bills are being paid. I got to make sure that like paychecks are being signed. Like, I have a responsibility to these employees and guys that have given tons of their life, years of their life, to like staying at the shop and helping things run smoothly. I have a responsibility to make sure that they can rely on a check, and granted, like, shitty to say, but like, sales are obviously up and things like that, but we can't afford to get shut down. We can't afford to have them come and chain up our business like they did in so many other cities and towns and states. And so it's like, we finally started enforcing it, and a lot of people got really mad at us. And again, it's like more confrontation we didn't ask for. It's a lose-lose. Like, we got people going, how dare you, you know, I'm gonna sue you guys. And it's like, dude, I don't like it just as much as you do, but I am literally being forced to do this via like extortion. Put this mask on to make people who don't know anything happy, and then we won't fine you $10,000, and you can continue to run your business that you so have done for 30 years. Like, get the fuck out.
So I'll give you my take on the communism thing, and it might be so. Because here's the thing, like I like to delve into other people's perspective. I got my, you know, what I think, and I like to take time and at least check out the other side and make sure I'm not, you know, completely off base or something like that.
It's important to do.
And I can understand the sentiments behind the communism, right? If you're not doing as good as you think you should, and
it's
you
great
see
on
all
paper,
right? But here's the bar none period end of point. Is there and I'm willing to debate this part. I know there's maybe not necessarily equal opportunity from the jump, but there's absolutely no such thing as equal outcome, right?
Right.
We because there is never going to be equal output.
Right, exactly. And people fail to realize good choice privilege too.
Right. Here's a very simple example. This is what, like, one of the first examples I learned of why communism doesn't work, right? Come in a classroom, they're teaching communism, and the teacher says, all right, we're going to learn about communism, right? So what we're going to do is, instead of grading each individual test, we're going to grade you as a whole, right?
Yep.
So the students, you know, in every classroom, there's the third that gets, you know, A's and B's, the third that gets C's and D's, and then the third that usually fails or whatever.
What's the point of getting A's and B's?
Well, yeah, it took
if
one
you're
test.
gonna get graded based off everyone else.
One test, everyone does it how they do. The third fails, the third does all right, and the third excels, right? Well, then they realize, okay, all of our scores combined, we all got C minuses.
Yep.
So what do you think happens to the next test?
Yep.
The A kids are like, well, what the fuck is the point of me doing all this work if I'm going to get a C minus? And the E kids are like, well, what the fuck is the point of me showing up if I'm going to get a C minus without doing anything?
Yep. I mean, it kills innovation.
It takes 3 tests to figure out that shit is not going to work.
It kills innovation. And you can say like, you can point out all of the negativity, like negative things in capitalism, and anyone who blindly defends it, like, you're not looking at both sides, you know? But absolutely. But it kills innovation. You know, the top 5 most, or 4 of the 5 like top most successful companies on this planet came from the United States. Yeah. Right? All of this technology and innovation and stuff happens within the United States. What is the pop culture center of the world? The United States, Hollywood, the music industry, rap. I mean, that stuff, I mean, we are like the center of it all because of that. But the moment there's no benefit to going to school for 6 years to become a doctor, why would you? Yes. Right? Why would you? Why would I go invest that much of my time, not work, kill myself with the workload, the studying, trying to maintain a job and study and do all that stuff and whatever, and pay bills, just to find out at the end of all that there's not gonna be benefit. Right? And I mean, why would anybody in their right mind do that? And so, I mean, that's a big one, you know, for, you know, what you're saying. It just kills that shit.
Absolutely. Well, and the big thing for me is, like, so once I did what I was supposed to, went to school, barely graduated, got a good job, and I got on at the post office, right? And like, it took me 2 weeks, 3 weeks to realize there's no fucking way I'm doing this for the rest of my life. And so from there is where I started, like, my entrepreneurial path. Like, start figuring out I need to work for myself. And like, I learned, you know, because I realized it didn't take long for me to look around and like, hey, I'm glad you guys like 98 Corollas at the post office, but I'm not trying to drive a 98 Corolla when I'm 45. There's more to be had. There's more to life. And so when I started on my path, this was before I had a kid, but I was already thinking of my kid, right? I knew for sure I wanted kids. I was going to have one at one point. So I need to build something that's going to be around for him. And, you know, hopefully he doesn't have to do what I do and go out and get a good education so he could get a good job to realize it doesn't work to start at the bottom to build a business. Why not let him build off of what I've learned? I know that doesn't work, so I'll build the business and I'll have something together for him.
Props to you, man. That's big brain shit. And
I appreciate that, but if communism enters this country, that dream dies.
Yep, right here.
And if that dream dies, what the fuck is? I don't have anything.
Yep.
I will fight with my life for this. Like,
So real quick, just to show you demands of the Communist Party in Germany. This is from March 1848. So number 14 on this list is the right of inheritance shall be to be curtailed, meaning you can't give anybody.
Right.
It's not yours. It's
dude.
ours.
And there's already that stuff is already happening here in Washington. Washington has a 50% death tax. You die, the government gets 50% of what's yours. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, what? How does that, like, how have we allowed that type of stuff to happen? Did you just see that thing about, I mean, just to go talk about more about, like, government overreach and, like, what
that's
we're allowing.
We're here to
like,
talk about, because no one else is.
Look at dude, how much money Jay Inslee, of our tax dollars, he spent last year on private security while defunding the police like that. And, like, you can argue what you want about the problems in that world, and there's some to be had, you know, but when you single-handedly sign those House bills that just passed,
which are just to score points,
and do nothing but fuck us, and I've already been affected by this, and I can get into that here in a sec, but, like, when, like, dude, I don't know, it just makes me so mad. Like, he did all of this stuff, made it so cops can't show up anymore to certain calls, dude, they don't respond, all that crazy stuff that just passed in the House bill, but they are spending dude, look at what was that? How much money did Jay Inslee spend on private security detail last year? And it's taxpayer money. So he's making sure that the people getting mad at him for these practices can't affect him, can't affect his life. He gets to collect paychecks and do all that stuff. But
we might be knocking at your door, Mr. Governor.
Yeah.
That sounds like a direct. Casey might. I'm gonna be right here on the couch talking shit about you. You know where? Hey, you know where to find me if you want a spot on the couch.
Yeah, yeah, dude. You know, yeah. Jay Inslee, get out here and have a conversation.
Well, what's up? We got
$4 million over 2 years.
Dude, that is literally just highway robbery of our tax dollars going to protect this guy.
And you know what $4 million could have gone to instead of keeping him safe?
The schools.
Actually keeping maybe all those homeless people who were either on drugs or crazy off the streets.
Yep.
It's about getting them,
right. Which they're already taking over Seattle right now.
Well, if you didn't know, that's a business too. They want the homeless people.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. And I had an incident at my shop the other day where this dude was chilling on our property. So let me back up. I showed up to work in the morning, and obviously we're closed still. And I pull up to the gate on the right side of the building, and I'm getting out of my car to go open the gate, and there's this dude just marching across the parking lot towards me, and it's like, dude, you just walked onto the property. Like, what are you walking towards me for? Mm-hmm. We're not open. And then he walks up and he goes to our little break area, and there is a outlet on the wall there. He starts plugging in his phone, and it's like, obviously this dude's like a transient homeless dude or whatever. And I was like, hey man, you can't do that here. And he turned around and bucked up to me. He's like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? What is it, fucking illegal? I'm like, well, you're on private property for a start. And then he like, oh, I'm sorry. He turns around and walks away. But he just walked to the other side of our property and went into like our bushes, which is like a hot spot for these dope dudes, because it's like the water goes like drainage through there, so it's like lush with grass and it's shaded. And dude, right now there's a couch there. Like the homeless would bring a couch and they sit there and they just do dope. And then we have to go down there and listen to this shit. Just more craziness. The city came to us and said, hey, we are taking this chunk of your property and it's an easement, right? They basically turn a part of my property into a storm drainage. And I was like, but I don't get a tax cut on, right? I still have to pay taxes on that part that they came in and created a storm drain on. And I have to maintain it. So all of the dudes coming down here and fucking doing dope, leaving their syringes, leaving their like with needles in them. They don't give a shit. They're just all sitting there, bringing this, homeless casting couch in, and doing all sorts of shit. Like, I get fined. Last year we got fined $9,000 because they did a spot check on us, and there was all sorts of trash and shit blocking the storm drain there, and we all of a sudden got a random thing going, you owe $9,000.
Send it back to the city.
We fought that really hard, and fought that really hard. But So this guy was there, and I just basically walked to the back, and out back in the building, all the shop guys were standing back there kind of bullshitting before the day started. So I pull back, I'm like, yo, let's go. We got to kick this guy out. So we walk over there, and the dude's sitting on the couch, you know, like just chilling there. And walked up, was like, hey man, you can't be here either. It's still on the property, blah, blah. And so we got into it with him, right? And like, this guy pulls a 7-inch fixed blade on us and like starts crawling up the embankment at us, you know, and like talking about.
Does he realize what store he was just trying to plug into?
Yeah, man, I don't think he realized, but like, well, I don't know, but like he's like crawling up and he's sitting there just threatening like, I'm gonna slash you, like faggots, like blah blah, blah, just going off on us, dude, like. And so we called the cops, and they were like, we can't do anything about it. Yeah. And then so they were like, he's literally flashing a knife at us, and he's like, is he attacking anyone yet? And I'm like, no, because like, well, the guy talking to him was like, no, because if he was attacking us with a knife, he'd probably be on the ground right now. Yeah. Like, you got like 7 dudes around this dude, like. You have a homicide. Right. And so, anyways, the cops show up, and this dude's like sitting there, like kept like jumping up the embankment, like doing this to us, and the cops show up, and we're like, all right, these dudes are like, this guy obviously needs to be arrested, and they just basically like, hey man, you gotta go, and he threatened them, said he was gonna kill them and shoot them, and like they just walked him up and walked him off the property, and he got his stuff, and he literally just went to the property next to us and set up his stuff there, and he was like, I don't forget shit, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was a crazy thing. He came back and like vandalized the shop, and like all because like they couldn't do anything about it because of that new house bill. They told us after he left, they're like, we can't touch him. I was like, issue trespass, and they're like, we're not allowed to issue trespass anymore either. That new house bill prevents us from doing that. I'm like, so what happens if he comes back on my property and starts trying to get crazy? He's like, just try and de-escalate it and get him off the property. I'm like, so now I'm not a cop, like, I have to fucking sit here and like negotiate with some dude who's got a 7-inch blade. Like, how, like, what's gonna start happening is when the cops don't show up, and like, dude, I am not some like, I'm just gonna be. Are the
self-defense rules just as lenient?
No, we're held to tighter standards.
I know.
And so,
well, especially since you're talking about business property, right?
Yeah,
so it's not your own. Well, you can say no trespassing, right? But you couldn't shoot him the same way you could on your own private property, right?
Well, not just.
Business.
I don't think you can shoot people.
No, it's private property. Yeah. It's my It's my building.
Private property, you have every right to.
You don't.
No,
you do not.
Not in this state.
No, you do not, man. You do not. You got to be super like, yeah.
You can get sued for shooting an intruder in your house.
You will, and you will go to jail if you shoot somebody in your house if they're unarmed just for being in your house.
Yep.
Right, and
I'll
so,
take a bid.
dude, I'm telling you, if somebody is in your house, you hear that dreaded bump in the night, the glass shutter, you know, the whatever, the house alarm goes off, and you come around the corner on some dude who's just rifling through your stuff, you cannot kill or shoot that guy. You will get fried for it, and it's crazy. And like, you know what? Like, it's crazy that there's like an argument protecting these criminals, right? But like, that's not something you really want to go through either. You know, like, you have to like think a couple things. Think of where we're at in the state, right? Think of the 12 people, your 12 peers that will be trying you in this case. Do you think they're going to be as pro home defense 2A as you are? Odds are no.
Can't imagine. That's why the laws are the way they are.
Right, exactly. And so it's like, if you can only shoot somebody if you are in fear of great bodily harm, right?
It almost seems cyclical. Like, the people who benefit from these kind of laws are able to do just that, benefit, while the people who, you know, have something to lose just continue to rack up things to lose.
Right.
So it kind of almost invites those kind of vagrants to the area.
So does the right to kill somebody in your own home seem to violate the Second Amendment?
That's not the same thing, though. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. That's just
the right to use it as well, correct?
I don't know that it said.
That's sort of where I'm getting.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
So the thing is, like, I think what they bank on is that, like, how far somebody's going to be willing to take it in court. You know, like, if they get pressed like this with like what we're talking about, like, you get in trouble, or not get in trouble, but you shoot somebody in your house, which I will caveat to talk about the importance of having a light on your defense gun. All right. Like, if it's a home defense gun, man, you gotta have a light on it. You gotta be able to pause it. Like, I'm gonna switch gears here.
Please. This is one of the...
Yeah, I want to switch gears.
We're gonna talk about trauma and other stuff as well.
Yeah, and so, you know, you gotta be able to positively identify whatever it is, whoever it is that's in your house. And now, like, if I come around if you are able to put a light on some dude and he has a weapon in his hand, well, now we have a different situation, right? Like, I'm not giving legal advice here, and it's obviously so much more complex than just like, I see you, put a light, oh, you have a gun, you know? But like, I think it's really important because that dictates your response. Like, just to avoid the bullshit and like the potential life-changing moment of like having to use your gun, dude. Like, life-changing, like financially, you know, all that stuff. That's what I mean by life-changing. Like, it can really end your shit.
That is a significant moment in your life.
Right. So you got to be like,
if you can't get them out of the house without shooting them. In almost every situation, I would say that's probably
that's
good
the
advice.
goal, man.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Don't use the gun. Don't use the gun, but goddamn, be a slick motherfucker with it if you gotta use it.
Know how to use it.
That's the whole goal, you know, is because you have a whole, well, whatever. But I think like a lot of folks underplay that. They just think that they're gonna be able to like see some dude and be like, ooh, bad guy, click, bang.
Yeah,
okay,
they think having a gun is the ultimate problem solver.
Yeah, and it's not, man.
No.
It creates problems, right?
Most people, yeah, exactly. For most people, if you're not trained, and I would, like, I've told you this, like, I have my carry, and like even sometimes carrying mine, I'm like just a little bit nervous. Like, I don't want to shoot myself. Like, I don't have it set up in any precarious spot, and I like to think I know what I'm doing, but I'm by no means a professional. So if I have it on me, like, I am extremely careful in my movements and stuff.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
That's someone who is at least, you know, somewhat aware of the danger. Like, there are people out there who have guns. I won't say they're unaware of the danger, but they sure act like they don't give a shit.
Oh man, it's scary, dude. It's scary. The the amount of people I expose myself to in that sense is like, I would argue like such a big chunk of people don't know what the fuck they're doing with a gun. And not that like, you know, I'm sitting at some master level thing, like, but the average person just considers this home defense moment as, you know, point, click, bang, you know, next level kind of situation. And it's just crazy. It's like, dude, it's like, you can't even comprehend what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's like, that's why I just emphasize that light thing, man, you know, be able to see what's going on.
That's probably not a bad idea. I got to get a light.
Yeah, man. Stop by the shop, we'll hook you up.
Honestly, I want to get, because I got a Glock 17, which I feel much more comfortable carrying around with me, opposed to it being a home defense weapon. But
yeah, man.
For
carrying
the time
full size
being,
is rad, by the way. The whole hype is about carrying small guns. I think it's badass. Like, carry full size gun. Don't be a bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone just wants the smallest, thinnest, lightest gun. It's like, who started that trend of guns are supposed to be comfortable carry?
When the phones turned to razors.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, for years, dude, like, the guys that are like older.
That's like the big watch thing.
Well, no, not really, because like it used to just be like all it was. Well, I mean, I don't want to say it used to be only like that, but like for years, people just carried full size guns. You know, there's like small.
Okay, what do you mean by a full size gun?
Like your Glock 17 is a full size gun.
Okay.
It's a 4.5.
I thought you were talking like
4.5 to 5 inch barrel.
Shoulder sling.
And it should be that. You know, armed society is a polite society, man. Like that's huge.
No,
but like. Yeah.
For sure.
When people know that the average person can respond with some heavy, like with a heavy response, you think like people want to go do these stupid shit that they're doing? Why do you think all these places that have all these crazy shootings are soft targets like that? They know there's zero response that can happen in a timely manner.
Exactly.
It's shitty to say, but it is what it be. Yeah. And a full-size gun just allows you to do everything so much easier, man. Less recoil, more ammo, bullet performs better. You have a longer sight radius, like you can get into that. Like there's the only, I tell people this at the counter all the time, like the only benefit that small guns offer is that they're easy to carry. That's it. You lose all the pros that full-size guns offer, you know, which is everything I just said, but yeah.
So if someone just got a gun recently and they're looking to get the concealed weapons permit, do you have any recommendations for holsters or anything like that? Because outside, I don't feel like I think you have to go search for the information, but to the average person, there's not a lot of information outside of the actual gun you're buying. Mm-hmm. So do you have any good recommendations for like a holster, or what would you recommend?
Well, it just depends on like what you're going to carry and how you want to carry it, but I'm a big fan of like appendix carry. It's faster to get to, which is up front, it's faster to get to, somewhat, easier to defend, and certainly more concealable, when do you notice somebody carrying a gun? It's always on their hip.
Yeah. On the outside of the
or inside it, like on your hip, but inside, and the shirt's like tucked over the handle.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, that's my issue with that, is like, every time I'm at a gas station or store and a dude in front of me has like his gun just poking out, I'm like, if I was a shitbag dude, like this is grade A. Like,
just watched that video.
Yeah, the guy in the gas station. Yeah, dude.
Bro.
Guys come in like with their holsters clipped on their sweats and like on their pockets of things. It's like, dude, this isn't one of those things that's like, and it's just, unfortunately, like for some people that's just the norm. But like a good holster retention system, a good belt, is super vital to like the whole concealed carry process. It's not just gun and done. And you're gonna probably end up buying a bunch of holsters. Like I'll give you some holsters that I like, but you're gonna end up buying shit, liking it, and then after 6 months or a year, you're like, damn, it doesn't do this well. And then you buy something else that supposedly fixed that problem. You think that's the fucking greatest thing since sliced apple pie. And then on 6 months, 8 months, or whatever, you're like, damn, it doesn't do this well. And oh, look, this holster apparently fixes that. And then you move on. It's kind of like shoes, man. You figure out what you like and what you don't like. And,
yeah.
But I'd say some good go-tos, whether you're carrying, like I carry with a weapon light, like a full-size light on my gun at all times. But I'd say if you're looking for something super simple and comfortable, Galco Stow and Goes. They're like $39 or $35 at our shop. They're hide. They're really comfortable. They retain the gun well. It's a good kind of starter holster, I guess. They have a good positive clip on them. They use metal wire at the top so the holster doesn't collapse on itself when you draw the gun. So it's a good simple holster, right? Like if you're carrying a small gun, that's a good little rig to carry it in. But some other stuff, if you're trying to get something a little nicer, that's going to maybe hold a laser or a weapon light of some sort. I'm a big fan of Standard Co. USA. They're out of Las Vegas. They make some good stuff. That's what I'm carrying now. The other two are going to be Tac'd. Tac'd is out of Washington. They're a great company. I've reached out to them. I'm actually trying to stock their stuff, but about 6 months ago they told me basically fuck off. But well, not really. They were polite about it. They basically just said they didn't want to overstretch themselves. They're moving to a new facility, and until then they didn't want to like, make promises they can't keep, which I respect, And I know a bunch of guys that run their stuff inside and outside, and they make some quality stuff. And they got a good, we teach our own classes, but I'm not afraid to shout out. They got a good training facility and class and course offerings and stuff like that. If some of you guys are looking for a good instructor, I don't even know the guy, but he puts out some good starting stuff that just really breaks it down for the average end user. But yeah, man.
Okay, I got one more question for it. Actually, I got two. One, when you're driving, what's your go-to move? Do you keep it on you? Do you put it in the car?
Keep it on you.
Up front in the appendix?
Yeah, some way I'm doing it right now, brother.
Okay. So part two, and I'll get your opinion on this. Now, keep in mind, this is strictly a strategic move. So I like shorts. I like sweat shorts.
Yeah.
Not necessarily ideal for carrying
No,
with.
it makes it hard, man.
So what I did was I found like a pair of women's yoga pants, and on the side right here, it's got a full like slit, goes about this far down.
The little
boom.
Under the shorts?
Under the shorts.
Ooh, that's actually, hey
so,
man.
Look, it's tactical, pull the shorts. It's not going nowhere. It's not up in my crotch or nothing.
Is it in a holster while it's in there? Or is it
not in a holster.
Is it hot?
No, I don't keep it hot.
Okay, so first of all, you should keep it hot.
You should keep it hot.
Yeah, you should keep it hot.
But not when it's in.
But
not
second
in a
of all,
holster.
if it's not in a holster, I say again, if it's not in a holster, do not carry that thing hot. And
that is why it's not hot.
Yeah, case in point, I literally had a guy in my shop I want to say Friday, that was carrying his gun in his waistband of some sweats, had it loaded, no holster, just had the waistband around it. He said he stepped out of his apartment, came down the stairs, and he felt it slipping, so he went to go catch it and blast, right? Yeah, man. And so apparently he shot him like right to the left.
Was he wearing sweats when he came in?
Yeah, no, shit, was he? Actually,
didn't
don't
learn
remember.
his lesson for shit.
No, but yeah, he shot himself like in like the left kind of corner of your thigh, right to the left of your junk, and it exited in the back, right like above the knee.
All meat.
And so he was really lucky because he was stupid on 2 counts. Not only was he carrying the holster, but he was carrying with ball ammo.
What's ball ammo?
Ball ammo is like practice ammo, smooth tip stuff, right? And that stuff creates super.
So instead of a pointed projectile,
no, instead of a hollow point, it's a smooth tip one that you shoot at the range.
Oh, okay.
Right, but a lot of people, just to save cut costs, will just it's a bullet.
Yeah.
Right. They don't really have that understanding of what's going on when that bullet passes through the body, but. So he was carrying with ball ammo, so he shot himself, man, and the wound channel of that thing apparently was like within a quarter inch of his femoral artery. And he said he was walking within 2 days, and so he was like, I don't know if I want a 9 again. I'm like, bro, it's because you shot yourself with practice ammo. Like, yes, it's still lethal for those of you wondering. Like, it's a real bullet, but like,
I wasn't really satisfied with the outcome.
Yes, I was like, so what happened? He's like, I fell on the ground, and I'm like, and he goes, I crawled back up the stairs. I had a tourniquet that's like in my. I don't know why. Like this type of guy would not be who you expect to have a tourniquet. But shout out normalizing carrying that stuff because he apparently had one.
Definitely something I want to talk about before you get out of here.
And he said he threw a tourniquet on his leg, and then this lady came out of like the adjacent room and was like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "No." Like, call the cops. And
is that? Yeah, I guess that is the right move. Huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't tell the cops I shot myself.
Oh man, yeah. He came in. He was like, I want to sell the gun, and it was pretty funny though. We just basically talked to him about the importance of that and like cleared up some misunderstandings, which is like the importance, man. Like, come take a class. Those of you guys out there,
don't get firsthand experience. Take a class.
Yeah, just because you know how to like move your Here's the example I always make. If being able to drive successfully to work and do your daily business in a car is something you can do, just because you know how to turn the wheel and press the gas and brakes doesn't make you a race car driver. Right. So just because you can press the gas doesn't make you a race car driver. Just because you can press a trigger, which is moving your index finger like half inch, does not make you like a gun person or a shooter. And like our classes really go through like teaching the standard, our basic classes. We've really perfected like how to teach like the intro level, like, hey, I don't know dick about guns, let's clear it up. And so our classes have done like really, really well in doing that. We've really perfected them over the last couple of years, as far as like realizing how people learn, what order to put things in, how to properly make people understand what's happening when you're clicking and clacking a gun. There's a lot of levers and switches. So come take a class. It's cool. You'll have a lot more confidence, especially if you're someone who carries. Our classes don't just stop at basic stuff. They kind of jump into, what you want to practice drawing from a holster, shooting and moving, kind of all that stuff.
I would not mind checking out a couple of those, to be honest.
Come by, man. I'll hook you up.
Because I think I fall under the umbrella of being able to point and pull the trigger a half inch. That's about as far as.
And that's majority of shooters, and I think that that responsibility or that error falls on the shooting community, because we haven't done a good enough job at making people realize the importance of this, which thankfully this past year has like really there's a lot of new gun owners and people who a year ago wouldn't have been gun owners, right? And I got to see it firsthand, man. Like the genres of people this last year coming in.
I got an idea of who you're talking about.
Yeah, man, just people you would never expect who are just like, fuck, man, now I'm realizing what the result of some of this policy is.
Yeah.
And like what some of the mindset and agenda pushing that is the result of it. And like they've come in and like sought training and, and cheers to those people. Or, that's huge. If you take that upon yourself to like take the next step and want to be more familiar with a handgun or your whatever gun you have. You know, we don't teach everything.
Do you guys teach any like survival schools or anything like that?
No, I don't.
Does your dad do a private lesson since he was an Army Ranger?
Yeah, right. That'd be sick. I will tell you, if you're looking for a kick-ass group of like cadre and like or instructors and like with a crazy fucking background, and you're wanting to learn like some pretty cool survival stuff, I would check out Core Vision Training.
Okay. Local
group of homies. They contract with us for their basic classes out of Washington, for their intro classes, which are very intro friendly. You have to have some sort of like basic background. You can't just be like, I'm new to guns.
Yeah.
But they have like a membership program, and like their shit's pretty cool. That's a picture of them on our range in one of their classes. But yeah, they teach really cool stuff for their member program. They do like land nav courses, medical courses. They offer, which I really want to take, is active defense course. So it's like a force on force oriented class where they use and where they implement individual and group tactics, like room clearing tactics with medical involvement.
Oh,
so
interesting.
they have a shoot house that they go to, or that they own. It's theirs, and they do like simunition and airsoft training there. But it's not airsofting. It's not airsofting. It's literally instead of simunition's expensive, man. So they utilize what they can to get the best. But they work these scenario based things, and then have buddy systems where you're like, you know, creating, tending to wounded people and having to keep situational awareness and all that stuff. But yeah, shout out Core Vision. That's a dope group of guys. They teach everything, man. They got a awesome background.
There's your NVG.
They do night vision structure assessment, man. And so
I actually, you know what, if I think I break it down to what I would want out of joining the services, it would just be the training. That's all I want. It sounds like you can just pay for most of that without joining.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what you're doing, you know. I mean, again, only that small percentage of groups. I
don't know that I have any intention of ever using it. In fact, I think like with most things when it comes to guns, I hope I never have to use it, but I would like to have the information on hand in case it ever does come up.
Yeah, man. I mean, they got a pretty cool guy. His Instagram's name is trauma_RN. It's not anything.
Oh, okay. That's him?
Yeah.
That's with them?
So he does their medical block.
I've seen him pop around on some of the...
Yeah, he doesn't post any, like, educational content. He does
a lot of memes, right?
Oh, no. Maybe not. But he's definitely a... like, he has an extensive history being... he's an air medic. There in the helicopter. Like, he teaches their medical block, and that dude he's a good guy. Just from like his willingness to like help out in these classes and stuff, it's awesome.
I love that the trauma like movement is going on right now.
Yeah,
like I maybe you, because I'm sure you might know more than I do, but like, do you actually know the numbers of how much like that is helping society and gunshot wounds and trauma, and maybe not even like, I was listening to something. Like especially on the on the field of combat, like things that were killing, you know, in Vietnam and World War II and all this stuff. A lot of it was like
infection
stuff that we could fix today.
Oh yeah, we have the modern medic, the modern combat medic. Especially what's crazy is like getting into like special forces medics and like, you know, guys in Ranger battalions or SEALs or, you know, any of those SF guys. Like they're I want to say they're basically doctors, dude. Like those guys can do like infield. Some of them can do like infield surgery and like crazy stuff. So
in the dirt, in the dust.
Yeah, and like
in the jungle.
There's just so much has evolved. Like shout out science and technology, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a number on like who or like how many people, you know, any correlation to that. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, like. It pays to have that stuff, man. It pays, like, even from like the smallest injury to like, you know, some traumatic or whatever, like bad crashes or whatever.
Well, you got some like personal.
Yeah, this year especially, dude, I've had to use my IFAC, which is like individual first aid kit, twice, like on serious things. And yeah, man, it was like, you know, just having some basic knowledge that I have, and it was, they're honestly lucky that somebody was there. Like
what happened?
Well, first one, I just was driving home from work, long story short, and a dude was just speeding, and it was like downpour, spring season, like February downpour, and he was obviously
greasy streets.
Yeah, and like torrential downpour, like it was bad. And this dude was like, I'm driving home from work, he's in front of me in this like stock Subaru Forester, and he was obviously this young kid. Like he kept trying to pass the guy in front of him, and like on turns and stuff on Marine View, which is like one lane going each way, and he would like have to brake and can't
fall
like
back.
Get back into the other lane to avoid a head-on collision. He did like multiple times.
I remember those days.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Yeah, man. And like,
I think I've been there once or twice on that same road.
Poor people, but like we were such assholes.
We were terrorists, bro.
But yeah, dude.
We really were.
But he passed on the shoulder on like a sharp right, like on Marine View. Like he went into the shoulder.
Nice.
And if that car hadn't braked, like I don't know how he was keeping traction, which is why I kept following him. I passed the turn to my house. I'm like, this guy's happening. Dude, he was going too fast. I was doing 70 in my 4Runner.
Keeping up with him?
And no, I wasn't.
Just trying to keep up with him.
And I started slowing down. I'm like, dude, this is stupid.
Yeah,
like,
catch him on the side of the road.
Yeah, and then so I was like, dude, I just hopped on the phone, and like, I'm not a big like 911 caller. Like I hate involving them if I can. Like I'm not somebody who's just like, call 911, but like I was like, they need to be on standby for this. This is gonna end bad. And I'm like, hey, yeah, following this dude. He's driving, like I don't know if he's fucked up or what, but this dude's driving like not even just like race, like young racer boy reckless. He's like, it's in the rain, bro, and you're in a Forester. Like, chill out. And so I'm talking with him, and I come around the corner, and I just see this dude understeering straight off Marine View. He goes through one of the wood electrical posts, and dude, it snapped like a fucking carrot. Like I felt the snap in my 4Runner.
The reverb,
like the bonk, and like it sent the back of his car up, and then like he was facing nose down, and then he rolled like 2-3 times, and like tore this Subaru apart. And like,
and you were right there for it?
I was right there. I watched it all, and like I hit the brakes, and like he brought the electrical lines down, so like the thing came swinging down, and like I went into oncoming there was no traffic, but I went into it to avoid the thing coming down, and like had to turn around because I was like braking so hard and didn't make it, and pull back, and I immediately grabbed my my little range IFAC, which is a little bit more extensive than some of the mini stuff. It's got like much more gauze and more than one, like multiple tourniquets and wound packing stuff, and I go running over, and the dude's like, the car's like smoking, and he's trying to like open his door, and it like wouldn't open.
Is he even coherent?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
It was definitely shock. He was definitely in shock because like he couldn't get out, and I was like, get on the other side, and I opened the passenger door for him, and he kind of like shimmied his way out, and then like he was leaking pretty bad, like. His head was bleeding and his hand was bleeding, and so I kind of helped him out back up towards the car, to somewhere to sit, and immediately prioritized what I could see, and I was like, all right, your head is the bigger issue. Like his hand was pretty cut open, but heads be leaking, and so I immediately got like a pressure dressing on, and like put gauze and compressed it and created like this little ball of pressure and wrapped around his head, and then dealt with his hand. And then threw the little raincoat over him thing, because the little hypothermia is a thing.
What's that, heat blanket?
Yeah, it was just a little raincoat I had, shell, but you can get like hypothermia from losing all that blood, and it was like raining and cold. So that was like the first one, and he was like, it was pretty funny, like not funny, I shouldn't say funny, but like I'm walking him back to like the side of the road, and he's like bleeding, and he's like, bro, I just got yeeted off the side of the road. Did you fucking see that? And I was like, yeah, man, I did see that. You need to like, and he was like looking around real fast, and I'm like, chill out, stop moving. Like, he's like, I'm fine, dude, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're fine, but like, I need to make sure it doesn't get bad.
Yeah.
And then, that was the first one. And then second one, you remember that story I posted about the California burrito?
Yes, bro, and I was laughing at it too.
Yeah, dude, I was at the I made that little funny post about how trash California burrito is, and like I threw it in my on the story, like threw it in my in the trash.
Goes, hey, here's how you eat a vegetarian, or what is it, California burrito? You put a little hot sauce on it and
went through the whole rigmarole.
And he goes, throws it in the trash.
And like, so I sent that, I posted it, and I was kind of like laughing at it. I pulled out of the gas station, and like I was driving down the street, and I was literally still laughing to myself. Like I was like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, and like, and then I just pull up on the scene, and there's this car like just smashed in. It was a 3-way stop, and they didn't stop at the stop sign, and like the other side of this one stop sign was just like it was a ditch with a berm. So like the car like went like,
so it's like a T.
It was a T, and they went straight through the freeway stop,
shit.
and it was like a ditch, and then that went straight to a dirt berm. So they like, the front wheels went airborne, and they like went down even farther, and then smashed into it. And she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, dude. And so I pull up, and I'm like, hey, is everyone hurt? Because there's like all these people, dude.
Is everyone hurt?
Or excuse me, is anyone hurt?
Yes.
There's that whiskey, baby. But like I pull up, and it's just all these dudes standing there, and like, again, importance of this stuff, man. All these like grown ass men standing there,
just
literally
watching.
with their hands in their pocket. And I was like, I pull my window down, I'm like, is anyone hurt? And they're like, are you a nurse? I'm like, is anyone fucking hurt? Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
are you doing anything?
Yeah. And so they were like, yeah, and they like move out of the way, and I see this girl's face, dude, and she was hammered on. Like, I felt really bad for her. Her name was Rose. But yeah. I don't know, wherever you are, Rose, hope you're doing good. Hope that mouth's okay. She basically didn't have a seatbelt on, and like her mouth impacted the steering wheel. And so like it blasted her front and top and bottom teeth out. And so when I immediately, after they got out of the way, and I saw her, like, she was like just kind of waddling around, like doing this kind of thing in the front seat. And I was like, fuck. So I threw in park, hop out, grabbed my little IFAC, and ran over and started throwing my gloves on. I was just kind of talking to her like, hey, like, I'm here to help you, like, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of, little pillow talk kind of thing. Or that's not the right word. That's not the right word.
No.
What do they call it? The doctor, no, it is.
Bedside manner.
Bedside manner. Yeah, my bad, dude. That's a creepy take on that. Yeah, not pillow
Shout
talking.
out to Rose. Hey, baby girl, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
You're in my hands now.
Yeah, and, but so I talking to her, bedside manner talk. There it is. Just didn't know if she could even hear me, and I was like, but she was kind of like, I don't think she knew she was responding, but she was just making noises, like it wasn't real response. But I'm like, are you okay? And she was just moaning and whatever, like it was bad. And so I basically got my gloves on, and then started like immediately, she kind of fell into the passenger seat, so I ran around the other side and like just started kind of treating her there. And she basically, on top of her front and bottom teeth being knocked out, from like sideburn to like mouth opening, she like split open her face. Mm-hmm. So like she was leaking out of that pretty good, and the front of her mouth. And then I realized like suddenly it wasn't, and she was like starting to choke.
Oh shit.
Yeah, which is like common, like that's like part of like the whole P March P or whatever, which don't ask me to recite it, but it's basically a list of things you go through when treating someone with a traumatic injury. And I realized that her airway was being blocked, and so I had to.
She's choking on her own blood.
Yeah, man, and like this is pretty gnarly, but I had to J-hook her mouth, which is basically get my finger in the back of her throat and clear everything forward, which brought out blood clot and teeth and some pretty gnarly stuff. And then, but then I immediately started stuffing her mouth with gauze, and then thankfully EMTs showed up, and I basically filled them in while I held their mouth. They put a neck brace on her, and I just said, what I had noticed, and that she obviously wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And then I'm getting out of the vehicle, and I noticed there's like a little mini, I want to say like pint of Patron.
Oh no.
And like it had the top off, and there was like some liquid on the floor mat. I don't know if it happened from like the accident, like if it was trash and like it opened up and just kind of like did that, or if that was what was sitting like on the side. But yeah, man, that was a pretty gnarly one. That was like probably like, the other one was like, he just cut his head. But like this one was like, I had to interact with them and like, get my finger in the mouth. So that was pretty gnarly. But, they were pretty cool about it. They like thanked me and then replaced the gauze.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are the paramedics like, are they thankful to see someone at least? I mean, as long as you're not doing, as long as you're not fucking them up worse.
Yeah, and like
making their job harder.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I got out, and then some of the PD that had responded were like some guys I've known for a while, and they literally looked at me like, what the fuck, and looked at my gloves, and I'm just like, what's up, dude?
Just right place, right time.
Yeah, they're like, why are you here? Were you in the car? I'm like, no, just driving home.
Pretty much my luck.
Yeah, just driving home. But and like, thankfully, man, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm like some fucking trauma responding god, but like, at least having the basic understanding of some of this stuff, like taking a Stop the Bleed course. Like, if you're in Pacific Northwest area listening, like, definitely check out Stop the Bleed. They give you a pretty good courses on that stuff that basically give you a basic understanding of everything that comes in an IFAC. And I'm not gonna lie, there's stuff I don't know how to do, like, or that I'm probably not the go-to guy for, chest seals, or like getting some of that stuff down like the nasal cavity. Like, that's not me, bro. But I've been trained. Yeah. I've had people like show me it, but like, I don't have the repetition or any of that stuff.
Right. From the limited things I have seen. Yeah.
But because of, like, I have gotten a chance to work with some cool little like that little thing right there, little fake leg and stuff like that. Like, I've had a chance to do that stuff.
And everything.
Yeah, and so like, we've done plenty of like group and team activities of like applying tourniquets and holding pressure on the wound, and like, that stuff's not easy, man. That's not something you want to like learn or figure out how to learn on the fly. It's imperative. Like, and so we're actually at the shop. We have a guy who is just getting out of a local Army SF group. I shouldn't say local like that, but like out of JBLM, and he's Special Forces. Yeah, local militia
Civilian.
guy. Yeah, no. But he's just getting out. He's had like a 12 years as a combat medic in first group, and so he has a pretty extensive background. And we're actually about to start offering some medical classes.
Awesome.
And like, it's not anything crazy yet. Hopefully, maybe we can work some more like involving classes in, but for now we're working on getting a curriculum put together on basic application of like some of these medical equipment, like packing wounds, using tourniquets, prioritizing, going through PMARCH-P, all that stuff. So looking up PMARCH-P. Yeah, PMARCH-P. Yeah, it's assessment. A assessment process for figuring out how to care for someone who's gone under who's been wounded. So yeah, it's big stuff, man. I can't stress it. Like,
ever since your video, I definitely have been more than aware. I've been trying to check up on it and stuff. Like, I need to get myself a little kit and learn how to use it and all that stuff. But like, ever since you posted that video, like, I had two incidents. Like, one was a dream and it was dumb, but I'll do it real quick. I'm in the mail truck and I'm not driving, I'm in the passenger seat, and we're in like Seattle or something, and there's something blocking our view. But as we're going through this crosswalk, this dude walks across, and the dude driving our mail truck just mows him over.
Fuck.
And I'm like, fuck. And this is a dream, just to this is not real. And so like, I get out and I'm like, all right, and immediately I walk up to the person and I'm like, does anyone know what they're doing? And there's already like a person there working on it.
Maybe type in, what does PMARCH-P stand for?
Yeah. But yeah, essentially I looked down and it was weird. This is where it gets like dreamy. It was just a head, like there was no body or nothing. And like, this lady's like working. I'm like, all right, it seems like she's got it, but you should probably. The message I took was, maybe don't rely on that lady to be there next time. Man. But then we had another incident at the gas station where this lady, she hit someone. She rear-ended someone, tried to do the dash, backed up into someone else and hit them. God.
Like humans, not cars?
No, cars.
Oh, I was gonna say, what a...
Yeah. So, and this is the deal. No one got hurt on this. No medical use was needed, but it was really close to like becoming a situation. So she tries to do the dash, hits the other person. Now she's got two people she's hit blocking them, so they all turn into this gas station. And so the attendant, who's my homie, is talking to this guy, and this lady, she's like moving in, but she's like dragging her bumper up into the parking spot. And so like, in front of each parking spot they usually got a big pole. Well, she pulled in between two parking spots, so she's in between the pole and there's no curb, so she just keeps going forward until she hits the curb, like parking spot, curb, store. So she's facing the store, up against the curb, with the gas still going and the tires just spinning, and they're just spinning there, and I'm like, at first when it first happened, I was in front of the car, and I'm like, okay, bounce, like left, got out of the way, and I'm looking, and so the gas station attendant, who's a homie, is like, he's got her door open, like, look, bitch, you're fucked up, you're drunk, there's liquor right there, like, you need to go. And she's like, there's no. And he like pulls out the liquor. She's like, there's liquor right here, and she goes, throws it out, not no more. And so like, and so he's arguing with her, trying to get the car off, and I look from the other side, and there's no key in the ignition, so it's a stolen car.
Yeah.
Right?
She's like, that's why I can't stop.
This whole time they're arguing, I'm moving around, the tires are still spinning. So all it takes is like half a second for those to catch and go straight through the store where they're working right there. Like that's where the cash register is. And so like I had just hopped out of my car and I had my key in my hand, which looked like it would fit in there. So I popped the door, jammed my key in there, and turned it off.
Damn, you jumped in the car, bro?
Yeah, bro. I ripped the door
You're
open
wild for that.
And, bro, there's like a whole gang of people, just like you were saying, a whole gang of people just sitting there filming. I got my buddy who's like fighting with this lady who's drunk and high on pills and like in her own world.
Yeah.
So I turned the key off and I go to pull my key out and it's stuck.
Damn,
so my key. No. So I have to like rip it out.
Yep.
And so I get my key cars off, but like the whole time I'm like, dude, this could have gone sideways so quick if those tires jumped the curb and she went through the wall. So ever since then I'm like, yeah, definitely need to have those skills.
Yeah, man.
On
If we're hopefully trying to get the classes set up by end of August, early September, we can start offering some stuff. Some like they're gonna be small classes till we kind of get the word out that we're offering them. But if you guys are looking for some IFAC, like complete IFACs, which are individual first aid kits, you can check out the shop. We sell them.
How much does an IFAC go for?
I want to say, dude, it's actually a pretty decent deal for what you get. Like if you buy everything separately, it adds up. But it's a full North American Rescue individual IFAC or individual first aid. It's $75, but it's packed with like, it comes with gloves, gauze, chest seal, tourniquet, Sharpie. What else? It comes with like one more thing. I should probably know that, but it comes with stuff you need, man. And then I would definitely always recommend to buy extra gauze. Like gauze goes quick, and one pack may not always be enough. But it comes with trauma shears and everything like that, like little scissors to like cut what you need to cut. If you're looking for a more extensive kit, shout out Urban Medical. Urban Medical. Urban Medical is he's a good dude. Met him before. Was originally out of Washington. I met him through Core Vision. They promote him a bunch, but he's out of Tennessee now. But he reached out to me after that little incident with that girl crashing, and he filled my, like, he sent me, even though they sent me like or they gave me, the EMTs gave me gauze, he literally just reached out to me and sent me gauze to refill it. Like, shout out him.
That's
like, awesome. Yeah, like he heard about it, about what happened, and reached out to me. And that's good people right there. You guys looking to like support a good privately owned business, that's a good one to do. And he does all sorts of different sizes. So like as far as like what's included in them, he does some little mini packs, the ATAC as he calls it, and then he does like the larger packs, which I would definitely say don't bite off more than you can chew. A lot of folks go and dive into this. They're like, well, fuck, I got the money, so I'm gonna buy the biggest one. Trauma aid kit. And it has all these things like chest decompressions, fucking things. It's like, bro, you're not gonna use it. You're not gonna, like, just get a basic pack that gives you what you need, unless you're serious about it. I'm like just trying to discourage anyone, but if you're like, look, I'm gonna really dive down this, like, this is something I want to know, and I'm gonna go take courses and classes. Fuck yeah, dude, do it. Buy what you need to get, but. Those ATACs he sells are killer, man. I keep one in my vehicle. I keep one actually on my my gun belt that I use. Not every day, but my little Batman belt, as we call it.
Okay, so and I know you're obviously, I don't think you're qualified to teach medical aid or anything like that, but as a general kind of rule of thumb, like for the, what is there? I think there's like 3 major different types of like incidents that can happen or something, like actually, I think that's totally wrong. But what I'm asking is like, gauzes for bleeding. Like, what is each thing for? Or how to treat like the most common traumas, I guess is what I'm saying.
So puncture wounds are a pretty common one in like motor vehicle accidents, or just what's the word? I'm blanking.
Is that the same thing as like a gunshot wound too?
No, gunshot wound is GSW, or that's the nickname for it at least. But stabbings are different. You know, like all that stuff's different. But tourniquets are for your legs and arms. And gauze is typically for treating.
And the tourniquet stops the bleeding.
Yeah, tourniquets basically literally just clamp down on your veins.
Yep.
And gauze is for treating, can be used for packing wounds. So like GSWs and stuff like that. I don't know really much about the knife aspect of things. So I'm not going to personally speak on that too much. But a lot of this stuff is like basically packing the wound until like it's really hard. If it's something that like there's hemorrhaging happening inside of the body because of like, GSW or a knife or something like that, or a broken rib or whatever. And
you are supposed to pack with a tampon?
No. So that's a really misunderstood thing. A lot of people are misled about that. There is, and I've read it. I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate it. I can't.
It was a little bit of a trick question.
But there's basically plenty of like evidence out there that talks about why that's not correct. And there's even some people that promote it, that like a lot of these pages that I follow of guys who are like highly looked up to, who condone that, or they explain it. So if you want to, like, I know for a fact trauma_daddy on Instagram, trauma daddy, he puts out a lot of them in North American Rescue. If you're looking for some pages that put out some good educational content, first-hand accounts, or things like that have been submitted to them.
Hey, give those guys a follow too.
Yeah, Trauma Daddy. Yep, he's got the 1st Battalion, Ranger 1st Battalion thing, so he's a former bad guy.
He's a what?
Former battalion, or bad guy, as they call him.
Guy. I thought you said a bad guy.
That's what they call these Ranger dudes. Those dudes are fucking hats off to them, dude.
Yeah, no shit.
Badass motherfuckers. Yeah, man. Shout out Stash Gang.
That's part of the uniform.
It is. But he put out several things on why
Dang,
tampons.
He's tall too.
Yeah, he's big. Why tampons are just not correct. It was definitely one of those things that
might work in a pinch.
No, I wouldn't do it, man, because they're not able to stop the amount of like. Some of the things that I've read is, one, they're not able to stop the amount of bleeding. There's this guy, and I think North American Rescue, this guy has plenty of posts about it, kind of condemning that. But they talk about, they put him in these like those fake legs and stuff that have like a hemorrhaging happening, and within like 10 seconds the wound is overflowing again.
Yeah.
Because that's not meant. I mean, so it's again, not meant. The average flow per se is not that of like a hemorrhaging. Yeah, check that out. Meaty.
So I'm just interjecting the small pieces of information I have heard.
Yeah.
But like when you're not filling, packing a wound, you're not supposed to pull the old packing out if it bleeds through. You're just supposed to put.
No,
more.
you just keep on packing.
You just keep on packing.
You just keep on packing.
Yeah, I just found that out.
Yeah, and there's like a little way to like keep like the gauze like pressing into it. You basically start it. And it's like it's trailed off, and you basically just start compressing it into it. And you're likely, if it's like a GSW, you're likely to need more than one pack of gauze. Thankfully, it's like super compressed, and there's a lot of it in there. Like when that girl was leaking out of her face and stuff like that, like I was able to get away with one pack. I'm not sure with what the EMTs did after that, but like it's not probably not something that's pleasant having your muscles and arteries and all that stuff just compressed on via packing, but it's life-saving stuff.
Probably better than dying though.
Absolutely, man. Same with like being stabbed. Obviously a pretty common thing is like knowing not to
damn, that dude got cut up.
Yeah, knowing not to like remove the stabbed
item.
It's
a shark?
Yeah,
shark attack, yeah. Which is, how often do we get shark attacks? But that looks like 9
blade
knives. Slashing,
Yeah, bro. That looks like 9 knives to the side.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm telling you, man, having the ability to throw on a tourniquet and like...
You can't tourniquet that, though, huh?
I guarantee you that was tourniqueted.
Really?
Yeah.
That looks like their side or something. What are we even looking at? Is that an arm?
I believe this is a calf. Or no, excuse me.
That looks like a big fat person stuck in a wetsuit.
On his right torso and leg, so I could be right.
Yeah, I guarantee you, man.
Foot to the top.
Oh, that's his butt in the middle. So I think it starts at the top of his thigh. Oh man, that fucking shark caught him right in the middle, bro.
But yeah, man, and also like putting more than one tourniquet on isn't also out of the question. You know.
Yes,
like,
I've heard that. I've heard people use up to 3 and 4.
Oh man, yeah. You know, honestly, just firsthand experience. Travis had a tourniquet thrown on his leg after his big accident, and that likely stopped some severe hemorrhaging that would have happened had that guy not been, or had the EMTs not shown up that fast. But
this is probably not the place for research, but I swear to God, I saw something that said like tourniquets have the potential to cut like the homicide rate in America in half if everyone was prepared, or something along those lines.
Well, more people would be saved.
Yeah. That's exactly what they were saying. Like the shit people die from doesn't necessarily have to be lethal if the people around them, the first, and not to say the first responders aren't the first responders, but there's usually somebody who calls the first responder. So if the person calling the first responder has the ability to respond, like that definitely has the chance to save someone's life.
Yep. I mean, look at that right there. Bleeding control basics. Time is blood. Arterial bleeding can result in death within minutes.
Yeah, it's no joke. And that's the other thing. Most people think it'll never happen to them or they'll never come across it, but fuck, you ran across 2 of them in the span of a year?
Within just this year.
Yeah.
That was like 2 within a couple months, man. It's just like... I think you
got good luck for being in shitty spots, but
yeah, dude,
I'm
definitely a shit magnet, man. I mean, the amount of
I've
shit
known you a while.
Yeah, the amount of bullshit I find myself in, but at least have a basic understanding of this stuff, and you're light years ahead of the person that's just, checking things out, or standing there with their hands in their pocket when someone's bleeding,
or filming, even worse. Well. Seems very optimistic to me.
Yeah.
We got a good
yeah.
All right, dude. I'll let you give some closing thoughts. I think we've gone through quite a bit enough for the first episode.
Got after it, man.
We did. I was hoping the whiskey would, open a couple more doors, but maybe we'll save that for next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Closing words. Find your tribe, man. Find your tribe. Learn skills and traits that are going to help you better your tribe and better yourself, and take care of your own. That's number 1. Number 2, health, man. This last year has been a big one for health. I mean, I cut out a lot of, the bar kind of lost its shine this year, so like I've spent a lot less of that, do what makes
your wallet thanks you too.
Yeah, exactly. Do what makes you happy, protect your tribe, find your tribe, and have fun with it, man. With everything going on right now, it's important to have fun and enjoy your life.
I could not agree more. And I was going to let that be the end, but I really like what you said there, and I want to run something past you. So the find your tribe thing, the small tribe opposed to everybody. Do you think it's possible for everybody to get along? I've been somewhat pondering this. At least the future of our country, and every single time, what it gets back to? Localized tribes. Yeah. That's what I thought. What? Localized tribes. Every time.
Yeah.
There's too many people here to actually run a country.
There's just too many different, do you know how many people come
every
to the shop
scenario.
who we will talk about something and then we'll agree on it, and then we dive down another rabbit hole and we're like, whoa, yeah, we don't agree with that. So it's just there's so many different avenues to take and beliefs these days, but I'd say if your goal or mindset is to just create a safer, more productive, involving community, then whatever level that you apply that on, I think that's the goal. It's easy to lose sight of that. It's easy to get caught up in the everyday bullshit, and bills and stuff are important. Important. Trust me. I get it, but invest in your people, because whenever shit goes bad, those are who you rely on.
That's who's got your back.
Is your people. That's right. Cheers to them.
Big one.
Oh, here, we'll pour up. Let's get one more.
Let's get one more. We've gone to cheers.
We'll end on that. Ooh, I'm dropping corks. There you go.
Put me up one. We'll cap it off with that.
Say
Bro,
one.
this has been a fucking pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's been a good time.
I need to stack up on my gun knowledge, and we'll go crazy next time.
Come take a class.
No shit, bro. In all honesty, I really do. Not only do I want to get the medical course in, I would love to do like some survival skills. But the big one I want to do is I want to come get this shotgun, and I want to do I want to train for what that shotgun is for, moving around the house at night, looking for, you know what I'm saying?
We got a guy that does our shotgun courses for us.
Is that a CQB close?
I mean, the class will probably not be all that. If it's a starter class, you'll be on a starter class.
I'm not looking to raid nobody. Just protect what's mine.
Your follow-up classes can all be geared towards that. The class doesn't have to just be this is the trigger.
Right.
This is, it can be a pretty enveloped class. So
because you guys got more than one range there. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a public side, and then we have a private side that we do our classes and little local competitions and stuff like that on.
Yeah.
So cheers. Thanks.
Go support Federal Way Discount Guns. We got my boy Andrew in here. This has been a pleasure, bud.
Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely do this again.
Yeah. Cheers to you guys. That was good stuff.
Beautiful.